Minister Davis, if I can come to you, because I think we've identified what these issues are, and we clearly see that there's agreement that there are these issues and they do need to be addressed. How do we make BEE work for an investor who's coming from the rest of the continent? And also, is there an ideological difference between Nigeria and South Africa?
Well, I think, let me start off by saying that BEE, there's only a requirement for BEE is if you want to do business with government. So if you're not in that particular activity and you want to come in the South African economy and you just want to produce something and sell it in the private market, there isn't actually a BEE requirement. The BEE requirement is there for very obvious, very important historical reasons. That the majority of people in South Africa, the majority of black people in South Africa were excluded from participation in the economy. Not just excluded by neglect, but actually excluded by discrimination, active discrimination. So I think it's been recognized in South Africa pretty broadly across the spectrum that we have to take active steps to bring historically disadvantaged people into the economy. Let me say that the way we are trying to tweak the BEE now, with the new legislation that's going, part of it through Parliament and part of it in the form of regulations, is we are trying to support more active entrepreneurial development and less deals. So I think we're trying
to... entrepreneurs are there.
Well, I think we're trying to say that we want people to be active players in the productive economy, black industrialists, right. People who have actually got some value added in a transaction. We are trying to move away from saying to people who come in, be they from Nigeria or anywhere else, or even South Africans, that you must just do a deal with somebody, okay. And that person is not going to give you any value in that deal. So we're looking for the ways in which we can emphasize, for example, symbiotic relations between big and small companies, supplier development, things of that sort, role in incubation. And active skills development. Those are the things that we're trying to give greater emphasis to. Okay. So I think that's the point. Then on the one about whether there's an ideological difference between us, I don't really think so. I mean, I think if you hear what Minister Ganga was saying about industrial development, what I'm saying about industrial development, I think there's a lot of similarities. We realize that that's where we've got to go. And I think that some of the impediments I think the relationship has been moving forward. And it's been moving forward for the reasons that Dr. Dangote was mentioning. Nothing to do with PR or promotion of an image. It's got to do with the real opportunities on the ground. I think that our business people from South Africa are increasing their investments in Nigeria because they see their real opportunities. Nigerian business people are seeing their real opportunities from partnerships with South Africa. That's the sort of thing that I think is beginning to happen. And as we see there are impediments, for example, visas and things like that, then we take steps to try to address them. That's the way I think that we move in terms of trying to address those kind of problems.
Minister Ganga, is it just healthy rivalry that you'd expect? Or is there really a problem with Nigerians seeing South African companies coming into Nigeria and setting up shop, but happy to see a German company coming in and setting up shop and not asking the same questions that are asked of a South African company?
Well, I don't think that is correct to start with. There are quite a number of South African companies in Nigeria that are doing extremely well. Take the telecom sector, for example. When it was privatized for the first time, the biggest player there is MTN. The chairman of MTN is here with us. In fact, he's supposed to be on the channel. On the panel. I hope you speak to him at some stage.
We'll definitely get
so he will tell you the success story and how much Nigeria is contributing to MTN's bottom line. So I don't think you have ShopRite, you have other companies there. I think what I must emphasize today is what Mrs. Alaki just said earlier in the morning and what Ron is saying now. We are saying this is a new beginning for the continent. Okay. We're saying this is a new Nigeria. We're saying this is a new, we're forming a new economic partnership. We've had these issues. Those numbers are the numbers that we had before. Right. We're saying now we have information, we have decision. Now we're taking the right decisions going forward. Right. One of it is that we must work together to industrialize our continent. Yeah. One of the areas which Rob referred to earlier on, Rob and I work very closely, by the way. We've seen more than 6 times this year. We had a meeting 2 days ago, for example. We're working very closely together. We did talk about the automotive industry. South Africa has done that extremely well over the period. They export BMW, Mercedes, Toyota, Nissan. We're working together to do the same thing in Nigeria. We're looking at areas where we can complement each other. the number of policies they have and which we have, which we are sharing information on.
Yeah.
We've never had that before. So it's a new beginning for Africa, a new beginning for that relationship.
Yeah.
And it's going forward. That's the way to measure it going forward. So I think what we hear and what Rob also said is that the reality is that the opportunities in Africa today are huge. Dangote said it earlier on. The company that was maybe about 5 million, about 2,000, is valued in billions today.
True.
We want Africans to take the right or take the opportunity of that, come and invest in Africa. There's a lot of money to be made. If there's no money to be made, no matter what Rob and I say, they will not be investing in Nigeria. Money follows money.
Agreed.
There's money to be made. That's the case.
I'm hoping one day we'll be able to sit down with you and you give us a time frame within which you hope to realize those objectives, because we certainly want to see specific targets for you, Minister, because we do employ you after all. Minister, Duke, let me come to you. When do we begin to see a spike in numbers after the relaxation of those visa laws?
Well, I think we're already seeing it. It's just that we're seeing it on one side of the divide. Sometime last September, the Honorable Minister for Tourism for South Africa, Minister Marthinus, invited me to join him in opening the South African Tourism Month. And when I asked him why, he said when he looks at 100% of his tourism arrivals in South Africa, 70% are from the continent of Africa and 30% from the rest of the world. And of that 70% from Africa, almost 40% is from Nigeria. So on our side, we're showing the signs, we're expressing courage and commitment, we're taking guarded risks. But it's also important for our brothers to come and see the Nigeria that they do not know. I think that is critical.
Thank you very much, Minister. We appreciate that. Now, before I open the floor to questions, if there are any other remarks that my panelists want to make, please feel free to do so. But as I said before, there are roving mics around the room. And if you've got a question or a contribution, please identify yourself. Try and be as pithy as you can, because we've got many hands around the room already.
I just wanted to ask one question.
Yes, Minister.
And that has to do with the BEE. And that is there a tenor? Is there a time frame when this policy will fade out, and we would have assumed that all the critical elements of bringing this policy to place would have been reasonably achieved, and then it would be phased away? Just
Minister, you touch on a raw nerve. It's a debate we have in all our newsrooms, and I'm sure the government is seized with it as well. Minister, you are here. And Mr. Dangote, before we take to the floor.
Well, I think that we do envisage that eventually we will have a completely non-racial society, and it won't be necessary to take steps of that sort. But the time frame will have to be defined in terms of the impact of the policies. I think when we see that the conditions on the ground have changed in a way that makes those policies no longer necessary, that would be the time. So I think that we'd see it that way rather than we set some artificial time frame in years, whether or not we achieve the results. When we achieve the results, then we can review those kind of policies. But that time, I'm afraid, is not right now.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Well, I think maybe there are other ways of going around this. You know, they really don't have to remove the BE. But what I would have loved to see is actually, you know, saying that, okay, fine, you don't have to go and get a partner maybe you might not really like at all. They can say, okay, fine, when you establish the company, you have to now go and sell it in the capital market. Right. You go and float 25% of it, and now you sell to only blacks. I think it is going to be more beneficial for the blacks than just you getting one or two people, you know, to just give them the 26%.
Yeah.
Because those are just deals.
Yeah.
It's not really business.
Yeah.
You know?
Which I think the minister would agree.
That's what I was saying. Is we're trying to make the policy much more supportive of real entrepreneurial development and the emergence of people that can add value to businesses, and not just that you have to do a passive deal with someone you don't want to deal with. I think that's what we're trying to do.
Then I think what it means also at the same time.
Yeah.
When you look at it, almost throughout Africa, the only country that does not give any tax holiday is South Africa.
Well, Mr. Dangote wants a tax holiday.
Not quite the case. We have a number of tax incentives. For example, there's one called 12I in the tax code. You don't get as it were, tax holiday, but you do get a discount from your tax liability for investments. And there are a number of others that are sector specific. So in fact, we do offer tax incentives for investment. We'll be very happy to show you the details if you're planning a new investment.
What about the current one?
We hear that if you're planning a new
well, we have one that we have started, which is $600 million, but we need to make sure that we have some sort of tax holiday, because almost out of the 23 countries we are in now today, we have tax holidays.
Right. Actually, our 12I investment is you get more if it's a completely green fields, you get something if it's brown fields, you get more if you're involved in training and things like that.
Right.
But Pumla can give you all the details, because they are there to help you through any of those particular
We've
incentives.
got it on record. It's certainly going to be followed up, I can assure you. Mr. Zoe, you want to quickly come in before we open the floor? There are many hands I see around here.
Yeah, I just want to add that I serve on the BE Advisory Council. And I think we've done a tremendous amount of work in talking to multinational organizations, German, American, and so on and so forth. And we've managed to persuade them that BEE legislation must not be viewed as a punitive piece of legislation, but must be viewed correctly for what it is. It's an instrument aimed at redress. And redress is not just on the ownership of the economy, but also management, as well as development of an incredible entrepreneurial culture. I think Nigerians are priding themselves of the depth of entrepreneurship. We can say that in South Africa we possibly don't have that kind of privilege. We're still a budding entrepreneurial society from the historically disadvantaged, and partly the objectives of the BE legislation are to inculcate that, and I think we're making significant progress. So I think I want to enforce this, that the minister said, that the efficacy of the instrument will probably be the determinant of the durability of this piece of legislation,
so
not necessarily the time determination.
There's a lot more work that needs to be done in communicating what BE is about and how other African nationals coming into South Africa can take advantage of it, or at least use it to advantage. We've got a hand here. Do we have a microphone here? And while we wait him to pick up his microphone, I'm being told that time is running out. So let's try and get as many comments as we can and as quickly as we can. Please, go right ahead, sir.
Thank you, Chair.
Yeah,
thank you, Chair. I think BE should not be seen as an impediment rather than...
If you can identify yourself quickly.
Oh, my name is Kaulani Kubera from the Black Business Council. BE should not be seen as an impediment rather than as an opportunity. From a black business perspective, we are, for instance, looking to grow our companies. We can only grow our companies by building scale, and therefore we would invite Nigerian companies to come in and partner with us so that we can together jointly go for these significant opportunities. I mean, we have a trillion, more than $1 trillion rands worth of infrastructure development projects. We would want sizable black-owned companies from the continent to join with us to take advantage of those opportunities. So for us, it is an opportunity. We are ready to partner.
Okay. Let's take another question. That was a comment. There's another hand right here. Are there any other hands so we can identify it quickly and bring the microphone round? Yes, there's another hand there right at the back.
Thank you. My name is Olatunde Ayeni. I'm the chairman of Skybank, Nigeria. I want to seize this opportunity to congratulate the two governments for the improvement they have.
If I can ask you to stand, sir, so our can
okay, I want to seize this opportunity to at least appreciate the two governments for the improvement they've made in respect of the visa issue. But I also want to say that if probably this has been done maybe about 6, 7, 10 years ago, for them to have 3 years visa between the two countries for their citizens, it would have been okay. But making it 3 years as of today, I think a lot needs to be done.
Are you saying they're behind time?
They're behind time. Going to the UK, we have 10 years visa going to the UK. Going to France, you have 5 years, and which can take you to all the European countries. Now, if they are saying they are doing 3 years within themselves, for we in business, we have no time going to queue at the visa section. I think they need to do a lot more. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your contribution. Thank you. Thank you. We've got another hand there. If you can identify yourself quickly and your name and company, please.
Excellencies, Honorable Ministers, please permit me to adopt the protocols already adopted. My name is Ugo Uhuabungwa. I have been coming out here since about 2001, and I think that this forum is a great thing that has been done. But why has the South African Nigerian business not grown? Having come here a long time, I can align with what the minister has said. Aside legislations, aside policies, I think that the people, the perceptions has been more of the impediment. It must be put clearly, there is this palpable fear in the South African, permit me to say this, and we do apologize and all sense of responsibility. The South Africans are still not relaxed to do business with Nigerians. It's there.
It's a big statement you're making.
It's there. I've been coming out here for a while. I just crossed the, with my passport filled with visas, 6-month visas. Every other time you must have to go there and put the stool riggers to come, ask brothers to come do business with you. And then you get to the airport.
Yeah.
And then you get some very funny treatments from officials who are there. Then when you cross in, you're talking business with brethren.
Okay.
There is fear. I think that the government should do a lot to reorient the perception.
Yeah.
Maybe from our own end, but I think that the South African government has a lot to do on that.
Yeah.
To try to let the people know that Nigeria or Nigerians ain't the devil that they are seen as. And I think when that is addressed,
Yeah.
we will go a lot further. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So thank you very much for what you have done, but you need to do more. I think that's the message that we're getting. Where are our microphones? Do you want to respond to that quickly?
Yes, I was just going to say that, by the way, be aware that we're looking for solutions here also.
Yes.
Because at the end of this summit, when the two presidents come, we'll be summarizing the key outcome of this summit.
Sure.
And it'd be interesting for them to hear some of the comments they're making. So we're looking for, yes, the impediments,
Yeah.
but more importantly, also the solutions.
The
What do we
solutions
need to
coming
do?
from the floor as well.
Yeah.
Thank you. Minister?
No, I think that I would want to say that I think things are getting better. That a number of the problems that were mentioned, particularly by the last speaker, have been around. There is a way in which I think that South Africans, our history, we were cut off. Those of us who were in exile knew the solidarity we received from Nigeria and other parts of the African continent. But many of the people that were here, we didn't know anybody else from outside. And there were a lot of misconceptions, problems of that sort. But I actually think that things are getting better. Nigeria is becoming known, not because of any PR, but because of the reality. Nigeria is becoming known as a country which is making strides and moving forward. And South Africans are beginning to appreciate that on a better and better scale. And I think this visit, the state visit,
Yeah.
is going to be a very, very important chapter in developing and improving our relations. So it's not that there are not a number of problems, there are, but I think that we're trying to address them, and I think that actually the picture is getting brighter and better. It's not that nothing has happened. We can just look at the trade figures. You know, the figure that you mentioned, it was actually rands. It's 36 billion rands combined trade, which was a sizable increase from less than 30 billion a year ago. So I think that we can see that there are sizable increases in the trade relationship, there are sizable increases in the investment relationship, and I think that that this is the picture. So it's one of improvement, not
Yeah.
where we need to be,
Yeah.
but we are actually in a position to address issues as we move further forward.
Indeed, Mr. Dangote.
Thank you very much. Well, I think going back to the visa issue, I personally believe that the kind of relationship, or what I would have loved to see both the presidents sign today, is to do what we did with Kenya. I mean, there's nothing wrong to say that, okay, fine, if Nigerians come here, they should get visas on arrival. You know, because that's what we have with Kenyans today. Why can't we do the same with South Africa?
Indeed. That's a good question. Minister, you want to
Well,
respond to that?
I think for my Nigerian brothers and sisters, I must say that there is nothing that we will do to change the Nigerian DNA. We are an adventurous people. We are dynamic. We go to an environment and we look for the opportunities and we look for them aggressively. It is happening in North America, it's happening in United Arab Emirates, and we're making successes of it. Where we see impediments, we'll break the impediments. And it is important for this body to recommend to the two presidents today that we don't think that the 3-year visa regime is adequate. We think that we must be able to move the frontiers beyond 3 years, and especially for business people to a minimum of 5 years.
Visitors on arrival is the issue that I'm picking up here. Where are my microphones? My microphones are somewhere in the field there. Someone has got a microphone, please stand up and speak.
Good morning. My name is Abi Oguntuashire. I'm from APC Consults, Johannesburg. I have a question for the Minister of Trade of Investment, South Africa, Rob. The question is, I think it's easier to do business in Nigeria than South Africa, in the sense that I'll give you a scenario. I operate a simple hotel in south of Johannesburg, where we have 29 staffs. But the situation where 2-3 of them are stealing, and you can't fire them immediately, what do you do? That's my one question. Then the number 2 question goes to the Minister of Tourism, Nigeria.
Yeah.
Sir, there is quite a lot of proposals sent from my office to your office regarding tourism between the two countries through the DG of Tourism. That has been done about 1 year or 2 years ago. But up to now, there is no any outcome or anything from the ministry. I mean, as a report back to us, because we thought for you to actually have some investors or people visiting Nigeria, that should be an excitement, an excited place to visit.
Yeah.
And we try to have a copy of what is happening here to the same back to Nigeria as our country. Thank you.
I can only take 2 more questions, unfortunately. There's a hand here, and if you can get the last person on the microphone. Yes, ma'am. Please go ahead.
Oh, okay.
And
It's working now. I thought it's because I'm a woman.
No.
Sorry, I'm Gloria Serobe from Wiphold. I just have 3 points.
And you're not just a woman.
Yeah, I'm terrified with this BE conversation. I think Sandile, in fairness, maybe spend quality time with Nigeria and explain it outside of here. It is meant to enhance the business environment as opposed to do the opposite. There might be some flaws in the implementation, but the policy itself is meant to do good. So that's a point, first point. Wipol is a woman company. So my second point is this. The gender policy in South Africa is what created us. We are 20 years old. And there's a reason we are 20 years old only. That's because the new government came with the gender policy. They didn't have to give us deals. All they needed was to give us the environment to operate as women. Patriarchy is all over the world. It's not only here. And the gender policy, this country will never be able to stop it until this panel changes. It's a very difficult panel.
I'm looking at my DTI colleagues and my colleagues from the Nigerian side, and yeah, all of us are, yeah.
The last
Thank you
point,
very much for that.
it's not meant as a criticism. I'm just stressing
No,
a point.
it's a point well taken.
The last point I want to make is to correct Mr. Dangote. There is incentives in South Africa.
Yeah.
We are building a cement plant in Limpopo. It's a very poor province. We have a huge tax incentive given to us. We have a big infrastructure grant given to us because we have to build a road to there, we have to put some power line into there. It's real money, it is not talk, and it is gazetted. So, and part of having a decent local, especially BE partner, is to be able to decode these things and bring them back to your business. Thank you.
Thank you, Gloria. Thank you. Thank you. I can only take one final question, unfortunately, and it has to be very quick. I'm so sorry. I see many hands at the back there.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having us here today. I'm Alan Kaywood. I'm a private investor. I've worked across South Africa and Africa for for many years, and I've visited Nigeria many times and had investments there. And I must tell you, it's a very vibrant economy and a great place to work. As an investor and as a businessman, I think what I would love to hear from the governments, if I look at Nigeria and I look at South Africa, this is the Germany and France of the EU. Those two economies and those two governments can really provide an umbrella and direction for the whole continent. And if I look at a case study and I go back to what Japan did in 1951, when the occupation of Japan and when the Americans and the Europeans left, there was a report that said Japan would never recover. They put a strategic plan together and they chose, I think it was 8 industries. And everything around those particular industries was supported. Finance, training, education, grants, tax breaks, etc. And I think if between Nigeria and South Africa, if we choose 2 or 3 strategic industrial projects, that we would ensure that our education, our financing, our tax breaks, our processes to support will come through. It'll make it far easier for an investor to know where to invest, to follow, and where to actually spend your time doing it. So that's a recommendation I'd like to make to the panel.
Thank you very much indeed. I want to go to my panel for their final thoughts. So if I can ask you again to be as brief as you can be and just go through the role really from right at the end to the gentleman next to me. Mr. Zuma.
Well, I think from a South African point of view, we are extremely excited at what this South Africa-Nigeria relationship really means for our two economies. We've highlighted problems around the issue of visas. There are many other impediments. Infrastructure, there's got to be greater collaboration but between the two countries to identify whether it's maritime or rail or road, that we must jointly collaborate. Because there's a great deal of space for complementarities than competition.
If you had one thought to pose to the ministers, what would that be that would help improve trade relations?
Well, I think there's got to be a meeting around the table, sitting around the table, identify those 2 or 3 high priority areas where we can put technical people to sit around the table, including bureaucrats and business people, so that we can get this relationship going at a practical level.